Welcome! My name is Shay Alexander and I'm coming at you from Movement Revolution for your Wednesday vinyasa practice. So today we're going to be working on building upper body arm strength so that we can play around with a Bakasana, which is crane or crow pose. If you are not taking yoga for the learning of the crow pose or some of these advanced postures, don't worry, you can follow along. Just build up a little bit of core strength, a little bit of upper body, and see how you feel after it's all said and done. So let's go ahead and approach our mats. We will find our favorite version of Thunderbolt pose. So if you don't want to sit right on your heels, if that's uncomfortable, remember we can always slide a cushion. We're going to do a little bit of alternate nostril breathing to just awaken our senses, get us ready for our practice today. So what that looks like is, start with your hand. You're going to fold in the peace finger, so the index and the middle finger. Ring finger used to depress the left nostril, thumb used to depress the right. We're going to start by depressing the right nostril. We're going to take a big inhalation through the left side, release, switch, exhale through the right, and then inhale through the right, all the while lifting and lengthening through the crown of the head. Go ahead and start when you feel comfortable. If you're having any nasal issues, by all means, just breathe quietly in through the nose, out through the nose. Exhale, inhale on one side, release, exhale, inhale. Take this opportunity to begin quieting the mind, tuning into how you're feeling at this moment, muscles, joints, tendons, and down into our bones. Acknowledging if we're feeling tired, excited, whatever we're feeling, I want you to just acknowledge it and then move on. All right, a couple more rounds here. And eventually we'll bring both hands down onto our thighs, softening shoulders down and back. Continuing that diaphragmatic breathing in through the nose and then back out through the nose. Gently walking our hands towards the top of our mat as we stretch the low back. Bringing our awareness to that first branch of yoga, ahimsa, which translates to no harm. Starts with you. So we talk a lot about self-care, and that should include not harming ourselves. Looking in the mirror, smiling, letting go of judgments, expectations. On your next inhale, I want you to float forward into our modified plank. So shoulders over fingertips. Let's pull the belly in, soften the shoulders down and back. And we're going to exhale, lower down. Nice, easy chaturanga. Pull the shoulders back. Let's lift the heart from our mats. Acknowledging the openness through the heart, through the upper spine. And on an exhale, we're going to drop back into child's pose of Bakasana. Slowly awakening our core, our shoulders, connecting to the breath. Exhale, child's pose. A couple more times. We're not in a hurry. This time we're going to skip the cobra and just inhale back up into our modified plank. Exhale, child's pose. One breath, one movement. Inhale forward, exhale, drop down. Inhale. The idea is to warm up the arms, but not to fatigue them before our big crow pose, if we want to try that. So just enough to create a little bit of warmth. And now let's drop into our child's pose for 3 breaths. Acknowledge these hold times, as well as our typical vinyasa flow. Inhale, modified plank, lengthening through the spine, keeping those upper arms slightly turned out, fingertips spread and forward, let's lower down, press the hips in, inch the elbows closer together. 3 breaths here, into the nose and out the nose. And when you're ready, let's exhale back into Bakasana. Literal translation, surrender. Okay, then we're going to float to our hands and knees. Open up the spine a little more with a few cat-cows. I'm a big advocate of cat-cows when we're trying to obtain crow pose. So feel that openness in the shoulder blades as they separate in our cat pose. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chin, lift the tailbone, but not overstressing through the low back and the neck. Trying to find that even distribution of energy along each vertebrae. Imagining that we can feel them all separately, individually. From our tabletop, I'm just going to swing a couple of times side to side. If your wrists are feeling a little fatigued, go ahead and just turn so palms are facing up, applying a little pressure there, swinging the hips, moving through the shoulders. Spinal balance. So we're going to hang out here for a minute, exchanging sides. It's going to be opposite arm and leg. So knees are underneath our hips, palms are underneath the shoulders. As we inhale, right foot, left arm, exhale, setting knee and hand back down, moving right to the other side, keeping the toes pointing down, as well as our eyes, acknowledging length, breath, awareness. Keeping knees parallel, hands side by side. Gentle means to awaken the core. A little bit more. And when we're back to the side that we started, let's go ahead and get the other side. And from our tabletop, we're going to extend the right leg back. Ball of the foot touches down and just reach towards the floor with the right heel. Set the right knee back underneath our hip. Opposite leg. Just giving ourselves a gentle stretch to the back of our leg. And then we're going to walk the knees back just enough to be in our modified plank. Tuck the toes and lift the left knee off the mat. As we exhale, bring the left knee back and let's lift the right. Opening through the shoulders, keeping our spine lengthened. Shoulder blades down away from our ears. Just pedaling the feet in our modified plank. Let's go ahead head. Tuck both toes under if they're not already. Bring the knees up. Lift the hips. Ears should land right between the arms in our downward dog. Bringing our awareness to the palms as we distribute the weight along the index finger, the thumb. All right, let's inhale, float forward into our plank. Holding plank, belly button moving in. Remember, you can always bring your knees down here. Trying to warm us up as quickly as possible, but you may not want to warm up this fast. And this is your practice. All right, let's exhale, lower down in that chaturanga. Inhale for cobra, or if your spine feels supple enough, up dog. On an exhale, let's lift the hips, press both palms into our mats, softening knees, downward facing dog. One more. Inhale forward to plank. Pull the belly button inward. Exhale, let's lower down. Elbows stay close to the side. Maybe move right into our up dog. Knees come down. Exhale, child's pose. Modified sun salutation. As we inhale and float forward to our tabletop, we're going to set the right foot in between both hands, opening up into our crescent pose. Arms can be lifted overhead or stabilize. Let's exhale, bring both hands down. Sliding knees together, big toes together. Child's pose for two. Let's inhale into our modified plank. Exhale, lowering that chaturanga. Inhale for cobra. And then exhale back into child's pose. So you'll notice this sun salutation is our modified version. We're down on our knees. So floating back to our tabletop, we're going to bring the left foot in between the hands this time, stabilizing on our thigh, or lifting arms overhead. Maybe opening up the heart a little before we exhale. Frame the front foot. Let's tuck our toes so we can bring that knee off the mat, sliding feet together. Bend the knees. Let's inhale up into our mountain pose. Pausing to acknowledge our breath, our body, the feet pushing against the floor. Let's inhale, bring those fingertips up towards the ceiling. Exhale, forward fold. Bend those knees. We're going to come halfway up into our flat back. Exhale, forward fold. This time, stepping our right leg back. Knee touches down. If we floated the arms up last time, let's do the same thing. Extra breath here. And then exhale, frame the front foot. Let's slide knees together, big toes together, hips to heels. Bakasana. 2 breaths. Inhale, we're floating forward into our modified plank. Pull the belly button inward. Lower in that chaturanga, elbows stay close to our sides. Let's lift up through our cobra. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, as we float to our hands and knees, let's go ahead and bring the right foot through, lifting and lengthening. And then exhale, frame the front foot. Let's tuck our toes so you can bring the knee off the mat. Sliding feet together, forward fold, floats up into Tadasana or mountain pose. Pause and reflect. So that was a full sun salutation. Let's go ahead and lift and lengthen. Arms overhead, maybe even bringing those heels off the mat. Testing our balance. Exhale, hands move through the heart center as we turn fingertips facing the floor. Soften the knees in our Bakasana. Coming halfway up for our flat back. Exhale, child's pose. Stepping or jumping back into our plank. Shifting slightly forward. So shoulders line up over fingertips. It helps the strength of our shoulders. Helps to not wear them down. All right, let's lower. We inhale to up dog. Feel the back lengthening, especially in the low back. Keep that belly button pulled inward. And then let's exhale. Downward facing dog. Right heel lifts. Three-legged dog, so we can bend that knee on an exhale. Sweep it through, back heel comes down. Let's lift up into Bakasana or Warrior One. So I know you have a tendency, or we have a tendency, to want to open our hips up. The toes only out about 45 degrees. Let's try to point both hips forward. Again, bringing the arms overhead. If you want a little more power in this pose. And then acknowledging our feet. We're trying to press that front knee towards the second or third toe, putting the same amount of energy in that back foot, trying to stretch our yoga mat out. 5 more seconds here, and we're going to fold forward into our humble warrior. On an exhale, you can either keep hands right along our sides as our airplane arms, spread those fingers, or if you prefer, humble warrior, binding the hands, straightening the arms, and breathing in through the nose, and then back out through the nose. Trying to avoid rounding the shoulders, keeping the back straight as we can. We're going to release both hands, place them on either side of that front foot so we can step through. For Ardha Mukha Asana, rest here or half series. Inhale, flip forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale for either cobra or up dog. And then exhale back into downward facing dog. Resting pose. You can always remain here for a bit. When you're ready, let's lift the left heel this time. As we bend the knee, we're going to sweep that leg through. Plant the back heel. Let's turn those toes out. About 45 degrees. Keep the energy in both feet as we work to point the front of our right hip forward. And if you are one to like direction on your mat, you can actually draw a line, or they sell yoga mats with lines down the center. And if your heels are lined up, that's the ultimate expression. But if we're feeling a little wobbly, separate the feet a little bit. All right, let's exhale into our humble warrior, either airplane arms or working towards the bind. See if we can press that back foot in with just as much energy as the front leg. Shoulder blades moving towards the spine. Lengthening it out. Let's exhale. Release both hands. Pick that back foot. Stay forward as we step back into Ardha Mukha Asana. Shift forward into our plank. Let's exhale. Cobra pose. Big stretch through the upper back, and then let's press back. Child's pose, release the spine. And from our child's pose, we're going to slowly bring ourselves back up into our thunderbolt pose from whence we started. Release the shoulders a little bit more, so go ahead and bring your hands to heart center. On an inhale, let's lift and lengthen. Interlace the fingers together as we turn palms skyward. Reach reach just a little further towards the ceiling. Melting the shoulders down, aiming not only our palms, but the crown of our head upward. Exhale, let's release the hands with our knees remaining stacked over the, under the hips. We move into our puppy pose. So reach forward, dropping the forehead towards the earth, but acknowledging how the pose feels. You may also place a block under your head, a pillow, something. It's just a little much. Shift forward, elbows under shoulders here. Just a little stretch through the abdominal. So let's press our forearms in to the mat. Fingers are still spread, reaching forward with the heart, softening the muscles around your neck. And if you can't quite feel this in the abdominals, keep the belly button moving inward and gently ask the elbows to lift, but be very mindful in the low back. And if you feel as if your hands need to push away and you're unable to pull your hands towards you, it might be that you're a little out of your comfort zone and keeping your joints safe. All right, let's exhale, bring our elbows back down. And I like to just acknowledge that the elbows are underneath my shoulders since I don't have a mirror for reference. As I get ready for dolphin plank, moving into dolphin pose. So dolphin is great not only for strengthening, but also it's just a really good shoulder stretch. So let's tuck the toes. We're gonna lift our hips, try to keep that straight line through the core, and just little baby circles here. We're gonna go 5 in one direction, and then 5 in the opposite. And then more square centered. Let's walk the toes towards our elbows. Softening the knees, pressing those hips skyward. Keeping all of our energy on the forearms. So your hands may start to creep together. Keep them planted, keep those fingers spread. Maybe walking the feet together. A little 3-legged dolphin. If our shoulders require a little more time. Exhale, let's bring our knees to the mat, flip the toes out, dropping into Bakasana. Let's go ahead and just move into embryo pose. Once again, if it's too much on the neck, you can stack a fist or two, then it feels all right. And our shoulders are just relaxing over the top of our knees. Remain here for a few more breaths. And we're going to place both hands next to our knees as we gently lift up, sliding hips off the heels as our legs come out in front. And while we're warm, just going to do a little twist so I get a little bit of everything. Let's slide the right heel in close to our glute. Little half hug here with the opposite hand. And let's place right palm behind the right hip. And as we lift up through the spine, then we may begin to turn our body towards that bent knee. And as long as you feel both sits bones and you're able to find length through the spine, you can turn your head to look out over that back shoulder. Let's exhale. Slowly make our way to center. Little counter stretch there before we hit the other side. So let's stretch that leg out long. Bring the left heel in. Find those sits bones. Let's sit up nice and tall. Plant the left palm. Fingers facing away just behind the left hip. And as we lengthen Come through the inhale. Maybe deepening the twist on the exhale. Be mindful not to place too much weight into that back arm. Back end. Maybe if you can, just wiggle the fingers a bit. And we're going to slowly bring our heart, our eyes back to center. Stretch our legs out long. Keep those toes pointed skyward. Staff pose. Plant both hands on either side of our hips. And as we press the backs of our legs into the mat, continuing to lengthen and lift the crown of our head towards the ceiling. Ears, shoulders, hips all in alignment. Let's lean back, slide heels towards our glutes. Modified boat is hanging on right here, keeping toes in touch with the floor. We don't want to modify. We're ready to hold our boat pose for 30 seconds. Find your happy place. Reach your heart towards your thighs. Toes spread, fingers spread. Set both feet down. Let's reach underneath our thighs, maybe grabbing a hold of our elbows, maybe not. Just folding forward as we rest our head against time. Rounding the back. Placing both hands just behind the hips as we straighten our legs out. Fingers are pointing forward. You don't necessarily have to lift up here. We're going to be here for 30 seconds. So starting now, either press both palms in, reaching your heart towards the ceiling, or if you wish, bring those hips up, aim the toes towards the floor. Try to bring our balance, our awareness to both hands. Joints should be stacked. Notice where our breath goes. Are we still feeling the belly lift as we bring the air into the diaphragm? Okay, let's exhale, bring the hips down. Boat pose. So crow is a lot of core as well as a lot of upper body. And if you're having trouble holding boat pose for this long, you can attempt crow, but it might not be the pose for you today. That's okay, because every time we approach our mat, it's a different day. Okay, so we're going to make our way into standing. If you like the candlestick approach, a little more core, we just roll up onto our feet. If you'd rather just stand, that's fine. We're going to work on a little bit of arm pressure balance. So we're going to separate the feet about a foot. Let's bend the knees and we're going to reach the left arm under the left leg. Bring that heel up so we can get a little more lift, and then plant the hand right next to the foot. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So lifting the heel allows our arm to get into there just a little bit more. And then we're going to drop the hips. Decide how much weight we would like to place on our arms right now. We're just working up towards arm balance. Maybe we want to bring the feet off, cross the ankles, and you have the option also of hinging from the elbows. And if you cross the ankle on one side, maybe switch, see how that feels. Move ourselves out of the arm balance. Bend the knees. Let's just lift up. Lengthen out the spine. Interlace the hands together. Press palms towards the sky. And as our hips shift forward, we're going to just a little back bend here. And then let's slowly exhale. Hands to heart center. Softly moving into our forward fold. So, if you are ready and you would like to play around with crow pose, I'm going to walk you through it right now. Hands planted shoulder distance apart. We're going to try to bring the right knee as close to the right armpit as we can. Same thing with the other side. And our head is very, very heavy. So try to not look at your toes. Maybe play around with lifting one foot off the mat. That feels comfortable. And if we're flying in our Bakasana today, remember to round the back, pull the belly button inward. And you feel free to pause the video. Work on this a little bit if you want to. After you're done, we're going to meet once again in our staff pose. Plant both palms. Press the backs of our legs into our mat. Let's bring the right leg in, either into our seated tree where the bottom of the foot is right up against the inner thigh, or the outside edge of the right foot is in the crease of the opposite hip. We're going to take the right arm, reach it around, and with those peace fingers, create a bind here. Reach towards the extended left leg. Peace fingers wrapped around that left big toe as we move into our half lotus forward fold with a bind. About 5 breaths here. So let's go ahead and release. Coming up out of the pose. And we're circling the ankle as we go into the other side. So here, to our typical seated tree forward fold. If you'd like to ramp it up, outside edge moves right into the crease of the opposite leg. Left arm this time reaches around back. Peace finger hooks the left big toe, peace fingers of the right hand. And as we exhale, with a lengthened spine, focusing on our hamstrings now in the low back, as well as the hips, if we're in a half lotus. Let's go ahead and release. Couple ankle swirls. We're going to find our tabletop once again as we move into our puppy pose, so we can release the shoulders. After crow, let's rotate the upper arms out. And we're going to thread the needle here. So starting with the right arm, let's slide it palm up under the left. Acknowledging if you prefer reaching the inside of the left arm towards the floor, or if you prefer the bind. So that's just taking the right hand, reaching around, grabbing a hold of the opposite thigh. Settling into the pose. So how does this feel through the neck, the shoulder, and even the shoulders if we're in the bind and we're reaching back. We want to switch our sides. I like to plant the left hand near our face, lift up, and then go right back into your puppy pose. So nothing is strained, nothing is weakened. And then left arm slides through. Hang out here if you like this version, or work towards the bind. We're going to have fun. Maybe we can't go all the way to the thigh. Let's cross the ankles. Have a seat, and one more nice shoulder slash hip stretch before we move into our final relaxation. I want to be able to face you though. If you have a strap or a sock or something that will help you in this pose, I would recommend grabbing that now. So we're going to start with focusing on the right leg. So we're going to cross right knee on top of the left. And you should feel this through the outside right hip. If this feels like I could maybe go further, you can bend that bottom leg and move right into cow legs. So right leg is on top. We're going to grab our strap or a sock, hold it with the right hand, lift and lengthen here. Left arm goes out to the side. We've done this before. I just don't think I've shown you with a strap. Go ahead and try to walk the fingers towards one another. Maybe you can create a bind here with your own hands, but you have a strap, so that's great. Then you can focus more on pulling the elbows away from one another. Stay here for 30 seconds or fold forward. And try to maintain, imagining that there is a string tied to each of your elbows, pulling them away from one another. Finding our sits bones as we reach them towards our mats. Softening our breath as we acknowledge this pose. In through the nose and out through the nose. Slowly move ourselves back to an upright position, releasing the bind. Let's lift that front leg off. And just a little bit of windshield wiper seated, kind of open up the hips a little. And then we're going to extend the right leg long, cross the left knee on top. This might be where we're at. Awesome. If you're like, yeah, I want to go a little further. Now, if you bend that knee and then all of a sudden there is 3 inches of space underneath your left sits bones, then that could possibly put you in a position to tweak your spine a little. So be kind, be smart. Ahimsa, self-care, no harm. Left arm is going to hold the strap, right arm is going to come out to the side, thumb is down, thumb is back. As we bend our elbows, find the strap, choke up on the fingers. Maybe we find the bind here, maybe we don't. I like to approach yoga with a playful attitude. It's good to set down what you did before, and that's part of releasing expectations so that every time you approach your mat, it's a brand new session. If you'd like to fold forward, or if you did last time, let's go and do the same thing on this side. Reaching those elbows away from one another. As soon as you feel a pull, or if you feel something that doesn't feel right, just pause. Breathe into it. Eventually, we'll float back up to center, releasing our strap. Go ahead and bring both legs out in front, because now is when I encourage you to honor yourself, honor your practice with your own Shavasana. Thank you so much for joining me today. May you have a blissful and blessed week. Until we meet again, namaste.